On a recent walk around the Lockhart City Cemetery, I located a grave marker that stood out from the rest. The grave was not located here, but the marker memorialized someone who died too young. Milton Sloss Wilson was born to Boone Sloss Wilson and Ina Oline Rutledge on March 20, 1923, in San Marcos, Texas. Boone was born in Austin, his wife in Fort Worth. They married in San Marcos in 1919, and after Milton, they had two girls, Loretta Jane in 1925 and Marceline Maud in 1928. Sometime between 1930 and 1935, the two divorced. Ina was still living in Fort Worth with the children. Boone was in Memphis City, near Amarillo, working for the Civilian Conservation Corps. By 1941, Milton was enlisted as a fireman third class on the USS California, BB-44, a Tennessee-class battleship at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. From the Visit Pearl Harbor website. On the morning of December 7, 1941, the USS California was moored at the southernmost end of Ford Island's Battleship Row. This was an exposed position, and adding to the danger, she was preparing for an inspection the next day, leaving her watertight integrity compromised. Shortly after the first bombs fell at 07:55, general quarters was sounded. The men immediately began closing hatches and bulkhead doors. The attack was happening so quickly that they were unable to get all hatches and doors closed before the first torpedo hit. California didn't have a ship moored next to her, therefore, like the Nevada, she retained the ability to fire back at the attacking force. Her machine guns began firing on the torpedo bombers at 0803. At 0805, the first torpedo hit the California. The second came moments later. Although her crew initiated counter-flooding to prevent a capsize, a gaping hole in the ship caused her to start listing heavily to port. Soon the compartment where the ammunition was stored was flooded and could not be accessed. The California briefly lost power when salt water rushing into the gaping holes got into the fuel tank. However, power was restored in time to fight fires that had broken out on board. Her crew was briefly ordered to abandon ship because the fires were becoming overpowering, but the order was rescinded as the fires were brought under control. A number of explosives fell near the ship, causing little damage, but a 551-pound bomb landed on her starboard deck, killing 50 men. In total, 102 died aboard the USS California, and 62 more were wounded. As a fireman third class, we can only imagine that one of the sailors battling these fires was Milton Wilson, and assume he was lost when the bomb landed on the deck, although I could not locate any records to confirm this. Milton was only 18 years old and is buried at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. When his father passed away in 1960, Jane, his sister, registered for her father's veteran's grave marker under his service in the National Guard during World War I. Although I couldn't find it, I'm sure she must have registered to have the marker of her brother, who died when she was only 16, placed next to his father's grave. They are in the Wilson family plot in Lockhart, not far from Boone's brother, Newton. Milton received the Purple Heart posthumously, along with other awards for his bravery and sacrifice to his country that fateful day in 1941.